All right, here we go, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy. And I am delighted. In a way, this is going back to my YouTube roots here, having this conversation today with my very special guest, one of the first persons to befriend me on BookTube, the gracious, the generous, the wonderful, I would say the father of Malazan. It is none other than Iskar Jarak. Hello, Iskar. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Philip. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here and just always love listening to you and talking to you. So very much looking forward and appreciate the kind words too.
Oh, well, I appreciate you, my friend, because like I said, I think you were one of the very first other booktubers, and I didn't even know really what a booktuber was in those days, but you were one of the first persons on this platform with the channel who sort of reached out, and I think you shared my first Malazan video I made.
Okay.
Back when I was saying Malazan, like a lot of people, and and a lot of other people came to know of me. I think because you were so generous and welcoming, and I know that was a mission of yours, really, in the beginning. Really, was to sort of create a community of people around the series that you love, and you are a Malaztuber. Your channel, Iskar Jarak, is devoted to
dedicated,
the Malazan world. So that is a beautiful thing, in my opinion. But you also have read a lot of other stuff, which I think will emerge in the course of this conversation. So one thing I'd love to do to everybody who comes here is to inflict this question on them about their reading journey. What made you the person you are? And maybe while you're talking about it, you can even get into why you started your channel, Iskar Jarak. So, but let's start with little Iskar. What were the important influences in your life? How did you become a reader, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I read all the school books and stuff, and I always did good in school. And I think, I had an older brother who is way older than me, but who I thought was super cool when I was a kid, and he was really into comic books. And so I was really into comic books and waking up and watching the Marvel series and stuff on Saturday, and getting the Marvel trading cards. So that was a big one. And then in the more academic area of school, that I always gravitated towards the Greek mythology, which I thought was really cool. And I could always just kind of get into it. It's big old quests, right? And some dude who gets into crazy, shenanigans and has to do all this stuff, and monsters, and ocean voyages where you almost die, and all these crazy different beings and gods and whatever. So that was really the stuff that I like, just kind of the escapism type reading, and just the kind of fantastical aspect, I guess, of just, it's so far out there, and just that to me was always really appealing. So I always did that kind of stuff.
You were getting set up, in other words, to be a Malazan reader when you were a little fella.
Yeah, totally. I think I was predisposed to liking it, you know what I mean? And just kind of having fun with reading. I remember for a while, my reading was a fun thing. It was a fun activity, and I was into it. I was younger, and I was kind of more schoolish than sporty or whatever. And so I kind of embrace that. It wasn't a nerdy thing. And then kind of as I got older in life, I kind of got away from reading, or reading wasn't cool, or you know what I mean, trying to fit in. And I thought, and I still liked reading, but I shifted gears big time to nonfiction, because I was always if I'm gonna waste time reading instead of partying with my friends, I was gonna learn something and have it be a big thing that propels my life forward and gets me to new milestones and whatever. I have a scarred upbringing or whatever, where I was always very financially focused on getting myself sorted out. And my dad died when I was younger as a kid and stuff, and I think that always tinged my outlook to be you have to strive and just be always,
Yeah.
I didn't want people to feel bad for me, and I always wanted to like overperform and be self-sufficient and whatever. And so like my reading was, I think, influenced by that. I was like, what great people can I like go read about? Like what crazy influential times can I take some like lessons and become like a leader and blah blah. I was like very much, I think,
So there was a
focused.
practical bent to your reading choices for
Totally. So like biographies and autobiographies of like country leaders and stuff like that.
Which is
And
great, by the way. All that stuff is fantastic. I mean, those are, even for a fantasy reader to
yeah,
read broadly and to read stuff like biographies and autobiographies and nonfiction in various realms is
yeah,
going to make you, I think, a better reader of
yeah.
fantasy too. So yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And it's like, and that's what makes fantasy really cool. And I think the part that I was kind of not connecting the dots on too is it's like, that's kind of what good fantasy for me is and why I enjoy it now as an adult too. And I'm glad that I kind of came back to it, because it's like you are exploring all of these things that happened or will happen or could happen, and big topics on how we deal with each other and politics and just like even at the interpersonal level. And so I didn't really see the value in that, I think, for a chunk of time there in my 20s, where I was just kind of like very focused on get yourself sorted out. But actually getting more out of the getting yourself sorted out, like by exploring that stuff. And I love being able to abstract away and not have it be kind of like riddled with the baggage that you take into reading nonfiction, which is your own like personal perspective and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it makes it actually easier, I think, to be able to do that stuff, which is kind of, why I love Malazan too, because it goes deep on that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I was in my 20s too, this is going to sound weird, but I didn't read, well, let's say I didn't read for pleasure. I was doing a PhD.
Yeah, totally.
I was doing a PhD, so I had to read a lot, but it was stuff I had to read in order to get the PhD. And I was, working on a dissertation and all that. So I didn't have time really left over at all, any piece of my brain left over for reading for pleasure. So I did not read a lot of fantasy per se, except that which I needed to read for my dissertation, which was stuff by William Morris, which hardly anyone reads these days. But he was like a major inspiration for Tolkien.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you mean in a way, because you're trying to set up your life in many ways when you're that age, and you got to be suddenly grown up and serious. And in your case, it sounds like that's had to sink in a lot earlier too. So yeah.
You're trying to like present adult, right? And actually you bring up a good point too, because like going to grad school, I remember just coming home with big old giant stacks, and it was like, oh my God, I like looked at the schedule and I was like, the hours of class like isn't that long. But then it was like you were looking at like what you had to chip away at by like Thursday or whatever. And so it is like that's an exhausting period. And I think that it all just kind of goes together with, hey dude, I'm transitioning from like being a teenager, I'm like gonna be an adult, I'm serious, I'm like gonna take on the world and do crazy stuff, and like I can't be reading about. The other one I really liked as a kid, which they made a movie out of it recently, was like Wrinkle in Time. I remember reading that like very young too. And so that was another like fantasy one. I also like just like regular fiction that wasn't fantasy too, and just like not even fantasy oriented. We read like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and I remember being able to relate to those guys and like kind of rolling around and just enjoying the adventure aspect of those kind of books, where the red fern grows, where the dogs die. That one I remember being like one of the first books that I was like emotionally so invested and then absolutely crushed by too. So I think there is like a lot of stuff that I did read as a kid that I don't know. Yeah. And I regret kind of going away from it for a while, but I'm back now.
Yeah, big time. So before we get into Malazan, which is inevitable, it wasn't was not the first fantasy series that you got into, was it?
No, not at all. Like I was reading actually, well, I got really into George R.R. Martin, and I got really
Song of Ice and
into
Fire.
Song of Ice and Fire, and I got into Wheel of Time, and I actually gobbled up all the other George R.R. Martin stuff that I could find too. Like I got all the whatever anthologies that he's a part of, and like all these different editions where he had like short stories and stuff, because I
So
really
you've
got
read
it.
all of Wheel of Time, all.
And my boss at the time was like, yeah, you should check out Wheel of Time if you like that stuff. He's like, it's actually finished, because I was like complaining about, this was before Dance with Dragons even or anything like that had come out, and we would, you know, get up in the morning and like check his Not a Blog and see if there was like any updates, and like religiously. And he's like, oh, you should.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's been like a 10, 12 year or however long, it's been a very long time of waiting. And then Dance with Dragons came out and we were like, oh, so pumped, and we read it. But anyway, he suggested like, dude, they just finished like Wheel of Time. This was like back right when he's like, we've been waiting forever. And it was the same thing. He's like, the guy actually like died and stuff. And I was like,
Right.
oh my
Robert
God,
Burton.
that's like even worse than just like waiting on George R.R. Martin to write, you know what I mean? And then he's like, but they found another guy. And so I read those and I really enjoyed it. I know they're not like, or I don't know, I guess they're like controversial. In the Discord, they're definitely very controversial, but I enjoyed them for what they were, and it kind of got my thirst going for other fantasy. But those were the first two that like got me out searching for more like epic, crazy.
Yeah. And when did you, I know you're a Robin Hobb reader too. You read Realm of the Elderlings. When did that come in?
Realm of the Elderlings was probably after I read Malazan the first time, because then I did the same thing and I was like, yeah, I only want to read like finished series after that. So Wheel of Time, I was like, what other like killer? And so I read Malazan, but then I really loved like the feels and the deepness and all of that. And so I was like, then started like, drilling down in my Google searches. And one of the like top ones, if you search for like the hard hitting stuff is Robin Hobb. And so I only got at first the farcier ones, right? And I didn't realize that there was this whole other kind of side of the world and whatever. But then
The
I
live
like
ship traders and all that.
yeah, exactly. And all of the Bingtown and all the dragon stuff. No, spoiler alert, I guess. But that was like one where I was like got really immersed in it too, because she has really killer characters. And actually I just bought those hardback ones that have the art inside them. Nice. And those are like so awesome. Yeah.
Nice. So that's another series that is a major, important one for you.
Yeah. I hope it keeps going. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I've only read the first two trilogies. So I've only read Farseer and Live Ship Traders. And I need to get moving on finishing that, the whole series, all 16 books, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. It's a
plus I know there are short stories and stuff too that she's written, I think, right? In that world. Yeah.
Yeah. There's little like novellas or whatever. I got one of them. It's pretty good. Do you like the books that you've read so far?
Oh, I love them. I consider Robin Hobb in my, like, even just having read those two trilogies, particularly Live Ship Traders. To me, Live Ship Traders was I thought when I read, Farseer that, okay, this is a great author. I need to read more. I thought, maybe not top 10 for me, but, top 15 or so. And then I read Live Ship Traders and I was like, okay, this is like top 5, I think, material for me in terms of what I love. So yeah, definitely. Very impressed by her character work and the relationships between the characters and just the depth of her writing. There's just a lot of meat there.
Totally.
And so it makes sense that, if you're somebody who likes those big, weighty series, but also you like, to cogitate a little bit after reading them.
Yeah, totally. And she keeps getting better and better, and it's pretty unique too, right? Like I don't know, I think that's like a super unique concept of like talking ships and just the whole magic and all that stuff.
I mean, it sounds so absurd on the face of it.
Yeah, when you read the back, you're like, oh my God, I don't know.
You're gonna write an adult fantasy about talking ships, and I'm picturing, like Thomas the Train kind of faces on them, and it sounds so hokey, but it doesn't feel that way at all when you read the books. So yeah,
no, it's awesome, and I think it keeps getting better and better, so it's really enjoyable.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to progressing in that. But the series that you started a channel all about is Malazan. So what was your motivation there? Why did you do this?
Yeah, I don't know. There isn't like, there was some forums and stuff which I found later on, and they were kind of like dead. I came around like a little bit after the final book had already been out for, a year, couple years, I think, at that time. And it really was impacted the first time reading it through, and I like went back and read through again like immediately thereafter. So I don't know if it's like my first or second time, you know what I mean? It's like hard to count, because like I went back and I was like, oh my God, because it's, a complete story, I guess, is the best way to say it. And when you complete it and stuff, there is just like a lot to ruminate on. There's just like a lot of killer characters, and it just pushed all my buttons, and there wasn't like a lot of active conversation going at the time. And
Right.
like you said, not knowing what booktube was and all that stuff, it was like there was like a couple channels at the time that was like people talking about books. And I appreciated what you said at the beginning, like encouraging you and all that. It wasn't like a benevolent thing of like, hey, let me, you know what I mean? It was totally like just enthusiasm, because I know we were all like kind of thirsting for someone to talk about them and wanting to talk about it with people. It's like you have personal friends and you're like, hey, read these like couple million words so that we can like chit chat about it. It's hard.
3 million is in for Malazan Book of the Fallen.
Yeah. And so I wasn't being successful in converting like
what's wrong with your friends? What's wrong with your friends?
Exactly. They're like, bro, I gotta work. I can't be sitting there reading like 6-7 hours a day for like multiple months on end. And I was like, wow. But yeah, so it came from that, and just wanting to talk about it. I watched like a Daniel Green video, and he talked about Malazan, and I was like pumped to see somebody talk about that. And this, I think, was back in like mid 2019, maybe something like that. And he was like, and there was that Nameless channel that was like a dedicated Wheel of Time. I don't know if he still is dedicated Wheel of Time or not, but at that time he was dedicated Wheel of Time. And I was like, dude, someone needs to have like a dedicated Malazan channel, because I was like, there's so much, like so many storylines, so many books, so many, whatever concepts. And, I'm not a literary person or whatever, but I was like, I know there's so much there, and just like the stuff that I was like, I could talk about this, for a million hours, no problem. And that, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make some videos and like try and be more like shilling for the series, and just be like a celebrating the series channel, and not be, I wasn't like reviewing it or whatever. But then the other thing that I did see was like people had struggled to get into it, and like, or they, picked it up and couldn't figure it out in the first book, and like put it back down and stuff. And especially when I reread it that first time, immediately, I was like thinking, it's complicated. It's not that complicated though. You know what I mean? And I think we could help people navigate through until we get the hooks in super deep. And then so that was kind of the motivation. And I was like, if someone thinks I'm a total idiot, which I am, then hopefully other people will like make some videos and be like, yeah, what about this though, and that, and that's what I wanted. And then it kind of took on a life of its own, because I could tell that there was, I immediately could tell that there was a lot of people hungry for Malazan content, because like I would have a video with like 60 views and like 200 comments, you know what I mean? Or just like the engagement was like astronomical. And yeah, so, and then they're like, start a Discord, do this. And then the Discord grew, and it just met so many friends, and people started making videos, and just became such an enjoyable like community of people. So yeah,
that is so cool. Yeah, I'm not much of a Discord person, but there are 2 Discords where I sort of putter around once in a while, and one is yours.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Once in a while I pop in there and surprise people, but
no, everybody loves you in there. And it's cool because everybody's just like genuinely eager to talk about books and stuff, and we don't get into any shenanigans. And it's just like, what books, what did you like about these books? And it's been so enriching for me, just to like, you have the people that you can actually talk about this thing that you love, that they love too. So
well, another thing that you did in starting that was you really inspired quite a few people to do something similar, to start their own channels. And really, it's one of the cool things about the Malaz tubers that we know is how each of them puts their own stamp on their channel. They're doing their own thing. They're
Yep.
engaging with the series, and you can, and some of them are just purely Malazan content people, creators. But others have also done, like, Raph, for example, does a ton of Malazan, but he also does lots of other stuff. He's just like a legit fantasy booktuber now, I guess.
100%. Yeah.
But there are others like Ruth and Bad they just stick with Malazan stuff. And then there are others like Counselor, Moonspawn. She's done stuff outside of Malazan.
Yep.
But she's got a lot of good Malazan stuff. So, but you inspired quite a few people to start their own channels, and I think that is a beautiful thing. And just we have a sort of a community of content now that did not exist when you started your channel, and you're a big reason that all of this exists. So
no, I appreciate that. No, it's just been, like I said, there was like a obvious vacuum that existed in the world, and I was just kind of like had my toe in at that very initial, moment when it was gaining the head of steam. So, but yeah, there's just so many killer smart people. That's what the books attract to. You know what I mean? It's like people who want to dig in, and like I said, there's just a lot to talk about. So it's been like a dream come true, honestly. And like it's easy to like not make regular videos now and stuff, because just like as a fan, there's so much like good analysis and stuff that I never even think of that exists out there. And just like I'm jealous of the people who watch a video that's like read Malazan now, and then they jump in, and then it's like, dude, you can, what I mean? Raph went chapter by chapter through like every single one of the 10 books. There's like killer diagrams and like animated like war breakdowns by Graceless, where like someone who's like, what was actually going on the chain of dogs, or it's like, you know what I mean? And just like it's like just stuff that, which Graceless beat me to the punch anyway, and he was there even before.
He's been around a while, hasn't he? Yeah.
Totally. Graceless Passion's the bomb, but his stuff is just like, you know what I mean? There's just so much good stuff out there now. So I'm hoping that it makes it way easier to get sucked in, because there's all these.
I think so. I'm like you, because I read Malazan the first time before I even heard of BookTube. I don't even know.
Totally.
It must have existed then, but it's a totally different thing doing it now, and being able to engage with so many people and so many nice people. I mean, it's incredible. There's really good and kind, and he does other stuff besides Malazan too, but he's another one who was around, I think, even before you, I think. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And his Discord's ginormous. And
he's got a nice Discord. Totally.
But just so many creative people too, it's like they like, and we all like different parts of the books, which is really interesting. So it's like why there's just such a diversity of content too, like you said, because everybody kind of like different favorite characters, different favorite books, different storylines, like disagree about the interpretation of different stories, you know what I mean?
Like Quick Jen, for example. I mean, if you want to learn about humor in Malazan, that's where you go, right? Because she has done some brilliant videos on Malazan humor and various aspects of it. So and I know
she's genuinely funny
too. She's brilliant and funny too. So it's wonderful that this all exists now.
It does. And I think sky's the limit. There's so much still meat on the bone, and I think so many more conversations and hopefully cool stuff that happens with it. So, and more books coming even. So oh my goodness, we have some exciting books on the horizon for Malazan readers for sure, because Stephen Erickson is working on A Walk in Shadow, which is the conclusion to the Carcanis trilogy, and Ian Esslemont is working on the next book in Paths to Ascendancy, which used to be called Gistal, but now it's called, what is it, Forge of the High Mage, I believe. Exactly.
That's the new title.
I think he said it's done. He said it's done and delivered, and we're just waiting for them to announce when they're going to ship it out to everyone. So nice.
I also believe that Stephen Erickson is working on book 2 of the Witness trilogy. So I don't even know which one's going to come out first, book 3 of Carcanis or book 2 of Witness. But
I think he said he's going to do Witness and just keep powering through on there. So That one,
Cool.
there's a lot of speculation and excitement for. I think he did a good job on the first one. So
Oh, I loved The God Is Not Willing.
Yeah.
It was my favorite read of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I just loved it.
It's like you take all the best stuff that you like about like Steven Erikson and you smash it down into like a 400-page book, and it was just
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. It just hit all the right notes for me.
Yeah,
so
100%.
One of the things I love that you did on your channel, and I don't know if you're ever going to do anything like this again, but twice you had these tournaments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were so much fun having these brackets where everybody was kind of betting on this one or that one, and then next round, and then next round until you get to the last two, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you had one that was just mages, and then you had the other one was just like fighting with weapons, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, like melee.
yeah, it was so much fun.
No, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much like chatter around it and a lot of excitement, and and it was done on your channel, but I think it's spilled over, it's fair to say, into your Discord and all over the place. So it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
you got plans for anything like that again?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because I don't know if you saw, but my friend Ruth Ann Bad started a podcast. And so one of the things that we're planning on doing coming up is to kind of re-get the melee tournament going. We called it Arguments with Iron. I think that was like a quote out of one of the books that I think it was like Hood who says that or something like that. But
Hood, yeah,
exactly. But yeah, we want to like get that going again. And then we thought we could like kind of get more traction, because there's more people that have read the books. The people who had read them before, I think there was like I'm not criticizing the fan base whatsoever, but I think there was a bias towards the early books, characters from the early books, at least a couple of years ago, that hopefully will, people will have at least name recognition of the people deeper in the series this time. And we thought it'd be fun. So then I was kind of like worried about biasing the results or whatever, and so I tried to be very non-partial, and just like I rolled dice, or I put them all on a wheel to pick the brackets and did like a random name generator thing.
Are you thinking about having them seated though? You could have a committee of people, like veterans, who would actually do a seeding. Yeah. And then you could avoid early rounds with, like say Dassem versus Karsa or something stupid like that. That's not one you want to see in the early rounds, right?
Totally.
So you could do like a seeding where you have, like you've got plenty of experts,
totally. Well, we could even run the brackets or run the outcome from the last bracket as the seeds.
Oh, that's very sophisticated.
Then we're relying on the community, although all the biases I just spoke of would be just automatically baked into the new seeds. But
that's true. Yeah. Interesting. Well, whatever you do with it, count me in. It sounds like it's going to be fun. Yeah.
No, it's going to be fun. He wants to blow it up and talk trash about everybody and criticize all the picks and stuff. So I think it'll be more lively conversations this time around.
So is it something you're going to run on his?
I think we're going to run the voting on my community tab the way that we did last time. So I'll just put the verses, and then you'll either vote for one or the other. And then we'll preview each bracket or round or whatever, and then we'll kind of recap each round on his podcast.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be an Iskar Jarak, Ruth and Bad collaboration then.
Yeah, we're going to tag team it. So
nice. That is a collaboration from heaven right there.
Yeah, totally. Tag team, I say, because we're both like wrestling fans from back in the day. So
cool. That's even better. That's even better.
You asked about my influences, so I had to not forget about the WWF when it was still the WWF. So
nice. Yeah, it's funny, we have quite a few wrestling people on BookTube. Jimmy Nuts, for example, who read all the Malazan books in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
He's got a wrestling.
He's chilling for him. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic. And he has a legit like wrestling, had a real wrestling career.
Yeah, like a career. Yeah.
Yeah, a career. He's not just
Career.
sitting in the chair screaming and rooting on somebody. He's in the ring, doing it. So,
that's what I did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's awesome. I am so looking forward to this tournament. So keep me
It's gonna be
informed.
fun. Yeah, I'm
Keep me in
trying to
loop,
get
and
all the picks over to him this week so that we can get it going very soon.
Oh, so it is coming up really soon.
Yeah.
Then. Sweet. Sweet. All right. Well, with that going on, do you have time to read? What are you reading these days?
I've been reading a lot, and I continue to read with my kids. So that's like a big one that we've been doing because my daughter's 12 now. So I tried
Nice
to like,
age. Yeah.
And she got through like the pandemic mostly through reading, and she got really into the Harry Potter. I think I told you before, and she was into all of that stuff. And then she read this other like dragon one, Wings of Fire, which is kind of like a young adult series.
I have daughters, so I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And now she's doing like warrior cats, but she's like branching out into other stuff too. And so I'm trying to like find those books that are like actually truly still enjoyable for me, but not too hardcore for somebody who's 10 and 12.
I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
Yeah. So, because I want to like stoke that interest in whatever that she has and kind of have a common something to bond over that we both like. That's been the key for me with parenting and stuff, just in general too, is it's like try and find something that you guys both truly enjoy doing together and whatever, and not try.
I don't know if you've Harry Potter was a big one for me and both daughters. Absolutely. And 12 was like peak Harry Potter obsession for them.
Yeah.
And so that one worked well. Also The Hobbit worked great.
Yeah.
Even when they were younger, actually. One that I did not read with my girls, but that especially my younger daughter got into big time, was the Percy Jackson books by Richard Riordan.
Yeah.
And this might work for you because it's Greek mythology. So
yeah, exactly.
One of your youthful influences. So I don't know if she's read them yet or not, or
no, not the Percy Jackson. I've tried to get her into those too. My problem is that everything I recommend, then it's like automatically kind of tainted, and she doesn't want to engage with it. I think my stuff isn't cool enough.
You have to be sneaky. You have to be sneaky. You have
I
to.
think I've got a reverse psychology.
Slip it into her friend's backpack or something, and let her see it there. Or
Totally. So I have been successful in getting her like into the comic book stuff, so that has at least been a W that we can bond over.
Nice. Yeah. What I was a comic book reader big time as a kid. Before I read anything else, I was obsessed with comics, especially Marvel, and I was really into the X-Men, especially. I wanted to be like Nightcrawler.
That would be cool.
I always wanted to teleport,
Totally. Yeah. And one of the like really garbage Fox X-Men movies, they had a good like Nightcrawler where they like, that was like, the effects where he disappeared and stuff was like probably the best part of the whole movie. But I was super into X-Men. That's what I'm saying. Our kids don't appreciate, like, I think for me at least, X-Men was on at like 9 o'clock Saturday morning, and like when you're like 9 to 11 or whatever, and it was
that's the cartoon, right? You're talking about
the cartoon one, which is still epic. And actually I have it on Disney Plus, and I'm like, that's how I got her into some of the comic characters and stuff.
Nice.
And the old Fantastic Four cartoon, which was actually pretty good too. But it's like, if you didn't get up at 9 o'clock and you know what I mean, you missed it, and that was it. And then everyone was like talking about it, and you blew it. There was no TiVo, and there was no
nothing like that when we were kids.
Nice. You even had to get up and like turn the actual dial on the thing to like change the channel. So
I mean, heck, I'm a little bit older than you are even, so I had a black and white TV when I was a kid. So picture that.
They're spoiled. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, telling you. But comic books were huge for me. X-Men, Spider-Man was actually, I think I probably was even more obsessed with. Loved Spider-Man. I was really mostly a Marvel guy, although I did have some DC as well. You too?
My brother liked both, but I personally always liked Marvel better. I loved like the X-Men because everybody had like these different powers and stuff. And I used to watch some old cartoon when I was really little, and it was like one guy was like a submarine, the other guy was a motorcycle. I just love that. Or like Voltron, where it's like different pieces build together to a bigger thing. And I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just a sucker for all that super juvenile, like big pieces, boom, blowing up. So
Yeah, no, and there was something also, I think, just a little edgy about X-Men when I was reading it in the, you know, when did I start? I started in the late 70s, but through the mid 80s
yeah,
was
totally.
my comic book collecting time as a kid, and there was just something a little extra cool and edgy about the X-Men. A little bit of, I mean, there's some depth in comic books too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not like, you don't want to give it too much credit for being super philosophical and stuff, but they do
No.
have, like, even in that old cartoon, it was like the mutant registration stuff and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, the prejudice and what it's like, you don't really realize that as like a 10-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
there's just like in fantasy, there's some social commentary in the way the mutants were treated. I mean, that's social commentary right there. So
Totally. And
I,
legitimate grievances and like the interpersonal stuff where it was like the bad guy, you find out he's not like as bad as you thought or whatever, that he
yep,
had some, issues or whatever, some past, some history. And
yep.
yeah, that's why it's not total garbage, whoever was out there bagging on comic book readers back then. So
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, there's plenty of that.
oh yeah, wasn't the most cool thing to be into. I'm all, hey guys, look at my comic cards, you know what I mean, that I got at the swap meet. They're like, cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, those were days that I look back at with a whole lot of nostalgia, and I do still have my comics, actually. I have
Wow,
them. Yeah.
dude, you might be sitting on a gold mine, you never know.
Well, I did read them as a kid, so they're not in like mint conditions.
Still,
So,
yeah, no, they're like, that's becoming more and more endangered.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, they're from the late 70s to the really more 80s, up to the mid 80s. I did buy some first editions back then. Marvel was trying a few experiments. They were always trying to do something different, and they came out
Yeah,
with a whole bunch of like new series. Most of them did not go anywhere, but I bought all these like first editions of it. Just, I don't know if anyone cares about them anymore or not, but
yeah, I
it's
bet
like
you
one of them
it,
was like Cloak and Dagger or something like that.
okay,
I don't know,
yeah,
probably nobody knows what that is
I
anymore.
don't know what that
Yeah.
is, but yeah, look on eBay. That probably makes it more valuable, honestly.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't know anything. I've never actually tried to find out if they're worth anything or not, but I mean, they're worth sentimental value for me,
Yeah,
right?
hang on to those. I'm telling you, that's like gold, especially in this market.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lord knows I don't have a ton of books that are like really that valuable. My book collection is pretty ragtag, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's been a labor of love for me to try and get the ones that I really liked and meant something for
yeah,
me.
even with Malazan, it is hard to find the trade paperback
Oh yeah.
editions of Malazan Book of the Fallen. You know how many people lately have left me a message on a video, a comment saying, "Where do you get the trade paperbacks? Because I can't find them."
Yeah.
And I'm wondering,
No,
what is the
it's me.
publisher doing here? Because everybody wants these trade paperbacks. All you can get is the mass market ones, right? The mass
I
market.
know. I don't know what's going on with that contract or what, but it's like those ones, that's what I'm saying. The ones I got from Robin Hobb are like so cool, and they were like $30 each. It's not like a $500
Yeah.
book and stuff.
We're talking about an author who has sold millions and millions of books here.
People are
So
thirsting for it too. Like, honestly, if you
yeah.
Google, you know what I mean? Like whatever Malazan editions and stuff, there's like millions of forums and just posts and Reddit and whatever of people
Yeah.
like clamoring for.
Yeah. So what's up? I mean, do the publishers not want to make money or something? I
I
mean,
know. I'm like, you guys don't like our money. You're too good for our money. So that's, I guess, where we're at.
come on. How do you get the ears of the publisher? It's Tor,
Yeah.
right? Tor is the publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tor.
How do you
And then
get
I
your
think
ear
it's
and say, hey, we really want, I mean, I'm not asking for the super fancy, what's the, oh God, I'm blanking here.
the
Subterranean.
Subterranean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not asking
No,
for
exactly.
the super fancy Subterranean Press here. I'm asking for a nice trade paperback that I don't have to ruin my eyes squinting at the tiny print for. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So,
100%. No, I know.
yeah, I don't get that.
Titles.
That is one of the big mysteries of the universe. Is why isn't Tor reprinting the trade paperback editions of Malazan.
Yeah, we need to start marketing like a change.org petition or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I bought Ian Esslemont's novels of the Malazan Empire, they came in a nice,
Yeah,
bigger
totally.
size. You know, they're actually comfortable books to read.
For sure.
But I did have a hard time finding, for some reason, Return of the Crimson Guard. I have
Really?
no
Yeah,
idea
they're
why.
hard to find too. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all hard to find. It's crazy. I
that's
think you can still
bizarre.
get the ice stuff on Amazon, but like, you know, the hardbacks, it took me years to collect a full set of both hardbacks, like
Wow,
years. And
more power to you. Yeah, I think even after you started your channel, I think I recall you
oh yeah, no,
putting that together, right?
still
Yeah.
very much a long ongoing process. So, and to get ones that matched, and some are like old library copies, so I'm still looking for like ones that don't have like stamps in them and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Wow.
if they made new
Wow.
ones, I'd buy them again. They just did like I forget what it was, like a Czech edition or something like that had like really killer spines, and yeah, looked
Nice.
very epic, that I missed out on. But yeah,
Huh.
other places are doing it. But yeah, actually,
Yeah.
the other countries, like for anybody who reads Malazan, if you look at the other country editions, they all have like different covers and art and stuff.
There's some great art out there. Yeah.
There is just killer art in the community in general. You know, there's
Yeah.
so many people who've made Malazan art. It's insane.
Totally agree. And of course, there is the Subterranean Press edition, which I will never get my hands on. But would you say no to a Subterranean Press edition of Malazan Book of the Fallen, Iskar?
No, I would buy that too. That's what I'm saying. I'll buy every single edition that comes out. You know what I mean? I will literally buy every one. Actually, I have all the Spanish novas there behind me, below the just like regular, just because again, they look like killer covers. I did get in on that. They did a new Subterranean round, and I got Gardens of the Moon.
You did?
Luckily.
Okay. I wondered about that. Yeah.
We were all kind of there and hovering over the buy button at like 9 o'clock or whatever the day they dropped.
So you're one of the chosen.
Yes, exactly. Early bird gets the worm, my friend.
Yeah. Sweet. Good for you.
Yeah.
So I do believe then, Iskar, what you need to do on your channel is perhaps, I know you've done it before, but you need an updated bookshelf tour. Maybe just the Malazan stuff, maybe.
Totally. Yeah.
Just show us those sweet books. When you get that sub press Gardens of the Moon, time for a video.
Yeah, for sure. And I got the TCG as well, that I bought on eBay just as like a gift to myself when I got like a promotion at work a couple years ago.
Oh, nice. You got the sub press of
the sub press one. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
nice.
I bought it on eBay. Yeah.
And there's some fantastic art in there, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, when you handle that book, do you wear like surgical gloves or what?
No, I just like put all my paws all over it and grubbed it up because I was just like so thirsting to open it and look at it. I haven't read it, but I did just like flip through all the art many times.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, because I have never actually held a sub-press book. I've seen some of the art, of course, and I see them behind AP whenever I do a video with AP or from a Critical Dragon on any of the Malazan books. I have to look at all his beautiful books whenever we do a video, and he's got the whole like sub-press, the original sub-press edition.
Totally.
And
amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, I guess he deserves that though.
Oh,
right?
100%. Come on, who deserves it more than him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm his nemesis, but I guess I have to admit he probably deserves his sub-press Malazan books. So yeah.
Yeah, we're still gonna bag on him, but
Oh yeah. I mean, he deserves that too, doesn't he? So
100%.
So, I mean, poor Professor Fireballs. It's going to be great. Soon we are going to be having our Dust of Dreams discussion.
You guys are almost done. You're on the
it's been a long time in the making. We had some delays that were unanticipated. We did Toll the Hounds quite a while ago. Actually, it was in, I think, October of last year. So it was a while ago. And then the only other Malazan book I think we did after that was probably Blood and Bone from Novels of the Malazan Empire.
Which is bomb.
Which is great, a fantastic book. And then so he had a lot of work stuff going on and just busy in life, and then he had the migraines, and
Yeah.
then we had ICFA, and then the damn migraines came back. So yeah, it was just kind of a
Yeah. It's been crazy
unfortunate,
times.
but I'm so happy to say that he's doing better. I saw him the other day. We were doing a Dresden Files chat on,
Nice.
on J.R. Carroll is the name of the channel where we were. It was a Dresden Files first 3 books, and I was there, and AP was there, and he looked like himself again. So it was really
Yeah,
great.
good. Awesome. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I'm excited to be finishing my reread of Malazan Book of the Fallen. And then there's one published Malazan book that I have not read yet, and
Which is?
A Sail.
Okay.
I haven't read A Sail yet.
I love A Sail. Yeah. I'm pumped for you to read
So what I'm excited for, of course, I'd be excited regardless, but I did at one point talk to Ian Esslemont, and because I had talked to him before, or I had AP and I had made a video about one of his poems from Orb, Scepter, Throne.
Okay.
And I recognized right away when I saw this poem what Ian Esslemont had done. It was really closely based on an Old English poem called The Wanderer.
Oh, wow.
And so we did this, analysis of his poem, and I compared it to The Wanderer, which is an Old English poem, and that's my thing. My day job is I'm an Old English medievalist guy.
Right.
So it was it was a lot of fun. And then he watched that video, obviously, and I guess he must have heard the analysis and my enthusiasm, because I said in the course of the conversation, I said because I did not only do I know the poem, but I did my master's thesis about that poem, The Wanderer.
Oh my God. Insane.
So I said, well, I think he wrote this poem just for me, it feels like, which is absurd, of course, but
no, but that must be awesome as an author, just to like have somebody, because like I've read that book probably like 4 times too. And you know what I mean? I would never connect the dots, and to have somebody like get what you were putting down, you know what I mean? Like on that level that must be, instead of just having someone go, oh, I like what you wrote and you're a good writer. You know what I mean? That must be awesome.
Yeah. I hope it was awesome for him anyway. But yeah, so he told me, if you like that poem, then you're probably going to love A Sail, because a lot of the same influences are there. So I'm so pumped to read this book.
It's one of my favorite of his. Well, actually, they're all my favorite, but it is a really
my favorite Malazan book is the one I'm currently reading.
That's it. Yeah. Every time, even I just reread House of Chains a couple months ago, which was like, lower down on my rankings. And I was like, oh my God, I really liked House of Chains this time, like really liked it. So, but yeah, I love all the ice stuff, but A Sail is super, super good. I got a PS Publishing A Sail book too that I got on eBay. My wife, like, I have to do this under cover of darkness and stuff, because I'm like always on eBay with some purchase that I get in trouble for later on. But that is a killer book and a killer cover that they paint on. I talked to Ice after I did the 10 Very Big Books.
I watched that. Yeah. Well, I listened.
And then
yeah. Peter
got us into talking to Esslemont afterwards, after we read all of them together. And it was just like, which I never have done anything like that. And it justified why I haven't ever done stuff like that. Because I was just in there like, oh my God, I love this. And like totally derailing the conversation with just like personal interests.
That was not the impression I got, actually. Okay. But it was
amazing though. And he was a super cool guy.
He is very chill, really nice guy, super nice guy. I've had the chance to talk to him a couple times, and he's just a really nice fellow. And I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit.
Dude,
enough credit. Okay, so first of all, just to talk about him as an author, he is, in my opinion, one of the he should be in the conversation when it comes to who are some of the best modern fantasy writers. Ian Esslemont should be in the conversation. He is a brilliant writer. Plus, I don't think he gets enough credit for being a co-creator of all this Malazan world. That it wouldn't exist. Malazan Book of the Fallen wouldn't exist if Ian Esslemont hadn't co-created that world with Stephen Erickson. In fact, Ian Esslemont is the one who got Stephen Erickson into gaming.
Right? I know, dude. Come on.
So, I mean, come on, give the guy his due. I mean, he's got these beautiful, brilliant books that have done okay, but they deserve to do even better, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, super good. Actually, same reason why I like Live Ship. You know, that's like the rip roaring stuff with Kenneth on these ships and they're sailing around and battles and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I said it in the interview with him too. His is, and he like corrected me because I couldn't find the verbiage or whatever, but it's like cinematic, you know, there's like some like scenes and some battles and stuff, and the ocean stuff in particular in Stone Wielder was like, dude, that was, it's just different and cool and awesome. And you know what I mean? It's like a whole extra dimension than just reading about like land battles, and he writes fast paced and stuff and just super enjoyable. A lot of the characters I think that everybody loves are like characters he made. So
yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah. And like, for example, you know, he played Kellenved, you know. Yeah. I mean,
your boy.
yeah. So, you know, and I totally agree with you. The naval stuff, particularly in Stone Wielder, that book has the greatest naval battle ever written in the fantasy genre. We're talking like master and commander level naval engagement here.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant stuff.
Insane.
So,
yeah. Have you heard of Unreal Engine? It's like that thing they use to make video games and stuff. Like,
I've heard of it. I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
I'm trying to like, it looks really cool. I don't know anything about it either. I just know it's like a thing and they make like super cool, realistic stuff and like big open world stuff. But I'm like, dude, I just want to see different little snippets and scenes adapted like somehow in a way that's like affordable and stuff. But it's like, whoever, we need to find that intersection of like, you know, these killer artists and like people who can, you know, it's like these things are screaming out, especially in the ice books, you know. I'm like, for even if it's only like a 30 second, a 2 minute, or whatever, of just like a killer scene, a killer fight, right? Like some of the awesome fights in Malazan, if you think about like awesome fights, are actually in ice books. So
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he does battles, he does atmosphere better than anybody in the business. I mean, he's just brilliant at it.
Really fun.
But yeah, oh my God. I mean, we would all love to see something like that. I don't know a ton about Unreal Engine, but it basically, we're talking about really sophisticated.
Yeah, because I don't know, they're not going to be able to build sets with like some of those sea battle stuff, or I don't know, maybe they could if we got like billions of dollars.
But it's like a CGI thing?
It's like a CGI where you could like do it and still make it look kind of like not super chintzy, I think.
Okay, so it's just a really, really awesome CGI program.
Or I wouldn't care if it was like super not realistic at all and very like exaggerated. Like, dude, I would just love to see some stuff depicted, like even the Temper flashback scenes with Dawson, the fights and stuff like that. Like, come on, give us a 2-minute video breakdown of that one. That was cool.
Oh yeah, that I would vote for that. Yeah,
I know.
That'd be
Graceless. We got Graceless, so maybe one day he'll get around, and his skills just keep improving. So you never know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I like you said, you never know what's going to happen, and as
more people are going to stumble onto these books, and I think, like I said, sky is the limit. Like people are probably just sleeping on this, and when you know what I mean, people will start waking up when they get over there, you know, waiting for the next Game of Thrones show or whatever. And I think, which is one good thing, I think the TV has brought so many people into books and made it not as nerdy and you know whatever, and regular people, quote unquote, can do it and not be.
Yeah, I feel like it's a double-edged thing in some ways. I told you what you said is absolutely true. I mean, TV has probably brought more people into fantasy in general, which is a good thing. On the other hand, I think in some ways, screen storytelling has had some, from my perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an old dude, but it has had some, I think, negative influences on storytelling in books. In that books these days are more and more stripped down
and like written to be adapted.
People don't have the patience for description or exposition anymore. They just want action, and they want, dialogue is okay because stuff is happening, right? And it just, like, how many younger or just new fantasy readers pick up Lord of the Rings and say, this is so slow, I'm sorry, I just cannot read this.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
That is, I think, and I'm open to, debate on this, but I think a lot of that you can lay at the feet of screens, right? And
Yeah.
and the
The internet.
expectation that of a much faster pace, and certainly in fantasy, so and they get to this Lord of the Rings thing and or older stuff, like older than 20 or 30 years,
Yeah.
and they're like, when is something going to happen,
The
so
attention spans have definitely been stunted and atrophied by, yeah, it is. We just live in like an on-demand culture too, I think, like even
that's part of it too. Yeah.
with everything. And like I said, they don't have to get up and go turn the channel and whatever. We got my daughter a phone. She's 12 now, but we got her the one that like doesn't have all the apps and stuff. It's like,
Okay.
it just does phone and text stuff, and she can still text pictures and stuff like that. But
That's one of the hardest decisions as a parent today is,
ugh,
when do I get my kid a phone? Because I don't want them to have a phone, but they really want a phone because all their friends have a phone and they're going to die if they don't have one, and blah, blah, blah.
no, that was the battle we had. And so that's the compromise we made. But they just like, want everything like that, and like not waiting for a show. Like how many kids today or like teenagers and stuff would like read a book and then, that came out a couple years ago, and then like literally wake up every day for the next 5 years and like check the dude's blog to see if he had like dropped the next book yet. And
Yep. Yeah, and here I go. I'm going to sound like a crotchety old guy again, but I bet you people are willing to say that as kids they were readers.
Yeah.
And then they got their phone.
Yeah.
And suddenly the reading just went, the reading time disappears in a big way when you're on your phone all the time and you're texting, you're doing other stuff, and you're training your brain in a different way.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I mean, here I go. This is about as ranty as I get. So
yeah, no, you go on TikTok, they're 10-second videos or whatever, and so you just need it in 10-second increments and just keep pumping it in really small bites.
Yeah, I mean, you see it. Even I had a comment on my top 10 fantasy stories video recently, where someone was complaining because I was talking about the stories that I was saying were great. I was saying why I think they're great. And the comment was something like, no one wants to hear, all this. Just give us the list. No one wants to hear you talk about why you like it. Just give us a list. And I wrote back somewhat seriously, but also being a bit snarky and saying, well, I think perhaps you might find a list of the sort you're looking for on TikTok. So
totally. Why even have it? You should just have a thank you for watching video that's like 5 seconds with just a description that's
right.
The list. So
yeah,
we're wasting everyone's time, Philip.
Yep. Me, big time waster. I mean, that video is, I think, like 30 minutes long. That's just like, oh my God, can you look at something for 30 whole minutes?
Yeah.
So, but like you said, screens are also a good thing. Great storytelling that happens on screens, and some not so good storytelling, but there's some great stuff. And I think we're all excited about the possibility of adaptations of our favorite fantasies. I mean, who wouldn't want to see, like, I can remember seeing Fellowship of the Ring when it came out on the screens, and being a very, very nervous, hardcore Tolkien fan. And I was like, I think they're going to ruin it. What are they, what sacrilege are they going to commit?
Yeah.
And I went there and I watched the first few minutes. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I feel like I'm in the Shire right now, totally. And it was like, wow. And I would want everyone to have that feeling, to feel like just for, certain amount of time, they're immersed in that world that they love. So, I mean, we would love to see that from Malazan, wouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. Or even Hobb, or you know what I mean? But I think Malazan has so many options, and I'm not one of the ones that hates on it. Like, I remember when the Game of Thrones show, was coming out and stuff, and being worried that it was going to be not good and terrible and whatever. And thinking they did a good job the first couple seasons for sure, and being pumped, you know what I mean, and being excited.
Oh, yeah, I mean, look,
that was fun.
To hear people talk about that show today, you would think no one liked it, but actually If you look at the numbers, it was probably like the most popular thing going on at the time.
No, I
And
remember being pumped, and it was
yeah,
Sunday and it was going to be the thing, and we would, you know what I mean, eat barbecue, something cool, and watch the show
yeah,
and have fun and be like, holy cow, and then talk about everything the next day. And
yeah.
like,
Well, I would say that for like 5 or 6 seasons, it was a really high quality
yeah,
series. And
totally.
then, and really, even I could have been fine with it until
Yeah.
even not. I mean, there are aspects of the eighth season that you could say, I think you could argue were okay.
Yeah.
But I do have to admit, the last episode, I thought, I'm serious now. I actually thought they were playing a joke with that
Yeah.
last episode. I thought, are they serious?
Yeah.
This is what they're doing? And I thought this is some absurd joke that they're playing on the fans. And no, it was actually supposed to be like a serious finale. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, they dropped that ball so hard.
Yeah. It felt like they got a list of bullet points and they were like, this is all we have time for. Just get the bullet points in the can and like, don't worry about connecting and motivating all these
Yeah.
different
Well, there were
action.
signs. There were signs before that last episode, like in the previous few episodes. It was like somehow certain characters like teleporting from
Yeah.
one end of Westeros to the other in like
Yeah.
a day or whatever. And then like forget that in previous seasons, it took months to get from one end of Westeros to the other. Let's just have them teleport, you know?
Yeah.
It
Totally.
was, yeah, they really screwed up in that last season. But the last episode I actually thought was a joke. Literally, I mean, I don't mean that as like I thought it was a joke, it was really bad. I thought it was a joke, like a practical joke.
Yeah. That they were going to come out and be like, just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like so bad.
Yeah. It was
But
terrible.
and
Now, if
I'm not,
Malazan gets a treatment, there's going to be haters for
oh,
sure.
of
It's going to
course.
be
I
so
mean,
contentious. Yeah.
what show in the world has no haters, you know?
Yeah. Wheel of Time, I heard, is like struggling. Like the Wheel of Time people are upset about the show
Oh, big time.
majorly,
Yeah.
and they've not changed or I mean that, you know, they've made significant changes or whatever to the source material and whatever. But I thought it was still like, and I love Wheel of Time still.
I like you. Yeah. I
But I
actually
enjoyed the
thought,
show still.
yeah, I mean, I will probably watch the second season. I was a bit dismayed by the first 3 episodes, which I thought similar to what you were just saying about the last season of Game of Thrones. It was like, okay, we have this big moment we need to get to,
Yeah.
and they did nothing to get there. It was like, here's a big scene, here's a big scene, here's a big scene, and it was like, what? It's all jumbled. It's not good storytelling. But then I actually thought episodes 4, 5, 6, even 7 had some good quiet moments, some
Yeah.
good storytelling. I know that some people hate those episodes because they really did veer away from the source material there, but you kind of have to do that in an adaptation. You really do.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind, for example, that for to get across to people who don't know the books how important this bond is between an Aes Sedai and her warder.
Right.
How do you get that across? Well, okay, so they brought in a story that isn't exactly in the series per se,
Right.
and they made it the central focus of an episode.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I thought,
And that was
okay,
cool. Yeah.
I
With
thought
the
it was
two.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Alana with her. Yeah.
But there were fans who hated that. And okay, fine, you didn't like it. You want the show to stick more closely to the source material. I get it.
Yeah.
But I thought there was some good storytelling in
did
those
too.
episodes. And then the last episode was kind of a disaster, honestly.
The end, I was like, man, that was such an opportunity because they're already spending a bunch of money and doing all this like CGI and stuff. And it has like that Eye of the World has a crazy grand finale, like laser and fireball thing just sitting there for the taking. And it was like so anticlimactic. I kind of thought it was a joke too, like the Game of Thrones thing you're saying, where it was like, oh, come on, there had to have been like more sparks and more something, right? Like, oh my God, that was like too easy.
Yeah, the episode 8, that battle scene was awful. It was terrible. And then of course they had the whole awkwardness with the actor playing Matt leaving. And I think they had to scramble, and it just, there was no way to really salvage that without some damage.
That was bottled too. That whole motive. Yeah. I don't think they got the motivation for Matt's whole piece. Correct. Well, I don't know. I'm just curious because that has so many implications for moving forward. Like the whole series kind of is predicated on him like trying to, I don't know.
I know. Yeah, there are going to be some repercussions for that.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I kind of felt bad for them too, though, because I know COVID affected a lot of things as well, and so it was not a good place for that show to end up. But
the channeling was well done. I thought that part was really cool, the way that they showed channeling in some places.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. I mean, I was a little at first, kind of with Moraine doing that whole like disco thing,
Yeah, that was a little bit over the top.
It was. I actually sort of got to a point where I was like, yeah, okay, fine. They needed to. I guess one approach was for them to sort of try to visualize the magic, and it's not the way it appears or it's described in the books, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're trying to make it more dramatic. It is a show. I mean, imagine what it'd be like if she just stood there and then something magical happened. I mean, I'd be lame.
You wouldn't be able to follow it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that they have to answer certain demands in a visual medium like that. So
totally. I like bringing the Logain stuff forward and just like fleshing that out more, because that's a really interesting storyline from the books too.
I actually thought that was a smart choice on their part, to make him more prominent earlier in the season than he would have been if they had strictly followed the books.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And giving him his backstory a little bit more, and just like he's just an interesting character as you go through. So I think that's gonna be one of the better like things that kind of keeps me invested in the show, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. So Iskar, I'm going to ask you a really ridiculous and unanswerable question now.
Yeah.
So if you were like one of the showrunners in charge of making Malazan, what would you do? First of all, I think it's pretty obvious the answer, but would it be a feature film or films, or would you make a TV series? Let's start with that.
I'd make it a bunch of shows probably, and find some kind of a logical way to split it up, and then make it I wouldn't do it the conventional way, because I think people are going to be pissed no matter what you do. And I think going through just book by book is challenging, because it bounces back storylines, and like some books are prequels for books that you read, then you go read a new set of characters, then you have another prequel for that set of characters, and
right.
So I would just kind of try and find some logical breakdowns where I think you could even do a whole Wiccans storyline and do that all throughout, and then go back and do some other stuff from Chain of Dogs and other stuff, and have it overlap. So we've seen some of those, and have these crossover types, and somehow wrap it up. I think doing a Tavor Lacine kind of parallel through the and kind of bring Tavor stuff or Tavore or whatever earlier, and kind of do a little bit of a dichotomy there, and then have the thing end with basically the Toll the Hound stuff more time paralleled with the end of the Crippled God, and you could kind of mess with things that way. And maybe
I think somebody's gonna have to hire you here. Nice. Those are actually good ideas. I actually agree with the broad principle that you're going to have to leave out a ton of stuff. You're going to have to. You're just not going to have time for the richness and the complexity and all these threads, and so you're going to have to pick.
Right.
You're going to have to pick. You're going to have to prioritize.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would do. I don't even know where I would begin if somebody said, Philip Chase, you're going to make Malazan Book of the Fallen, even just if you're going to stick with that one series.
Yeah.
Never mind Novels of the Malazan Empire, which, in some ways it would be easier to take one of the novels of Malazan Empire, make a one season TV show, make 10 episodes.
Yeah.
That would work really well. So if you could have a season per book, we just need 30 seasons, right?
Right.
All the Malazan books.
Exactly. It would just take forever. But yeah, I think grouping it up and doing group stories where you had crossovers, you could do a Wiccan one, you could do a Bridge Burners one, you could do a Bone Runners one, you could do a Crimson Guard one, and then there's all some of the people from each thing would be booked for different little chunks.
Man, it would be massive though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'd be insane. Give us a couple $1 billion, we can get it done.
Yeah, just a few billion. What's
Yeah,
that
baby.
nowadays? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what I paid to fill up my tank the other day. So
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. Yeah. It makes me glad we have at least one hybrid in the family. So,
oh yeah, those electric vehicles are looking pretty sweet. Too bad you can't get them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to be on a waiting list to get what are they called? The electric ones that everybody wants.
The Tesla.
Tesla. Yeah. That one.
Yeah, they're all like on a waiting list though, and they're not cheap to get the electric car either, so they get you one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got we got an Accord hybrid
cool.
several years ago, and actually like 6 years ago, maybe. And it gets more than twice the mileage that my car gets. So my wife drives the Accord usually, and it gets like fantastic mileage. But you do have to fill it with gas sometimes. So
yeah,
that
happens.
Yep. Such is life. But now, yeah, no, those electric ones are looking really sweet now, I guess.
Yeah. I drive too far for the electric. I still haven't figured that out till they have like a 600-mile one, because I drive all the time for work, and I can't be stopping halfway to do all that.
Well, hopefully they'll have more charging stations and stuff.
And faster charging batteries and stuff. There's really cool. I nerd out. That's my other like passion, is to just nerd out on like new physics and breakthroughs and stuff that's like way over my head too, in the same way that the reading I usually do is, and just kind of like, I'm always interested by what's on the frontier.
Nice. Wow. Well, I feel like we got that whole Malazan adaptation figured out, right? So we just got to wait for somebody at Hollywood to give us a call.
If you see it and it's the Tavor Lacine parallel running parallel tracks, then you're welcome.
There it is, right there. Credit where credit's due. Do you have ideas about casting already? Or have we thought that far ahead yet?
Oh yeah, I did like a parody casting video as a joke where I like put in all these different characters for Gardens of the Moon, and then I like took it a little bit more serious on the Dead House Gates one. But yeah, I have like favorite people. Some of the people are dead, but I think like Bob Hoskins would have been like such a killer bug. Come on, that would have been.
Oh wow!
So
that's awesome.
That ship has sailed, but
yeah, it would be fun too if we could cast some of our friends, like our fellow like Malaz booktuber people in parts, just for fun, just for kicks,
Yeah, exactly.
That would be funny. We could have
Marine cameos.
Yeah, absolutely. We could, for example, we could have Ruth and Bad play Column or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's
he would
got
like
the
that. I
physique
think
for it. I know that's why he wears the tank tops, is so that you can always see those like big old traps and stuff.
Yeah, so he secretly wants to be Column. That's the deal? Yeah.
The problem is I'm too fat to be Quick Ben, so that's I don't have those long skinny fingers like Quick Ben, unfortunately.
Yeah, who would you be? Maybe Whiskey Jack. You could be Whiskey.
Yeah, no, I'd probably be one of the like Mott Irregulars, or somebody who was like
that would be cool. I would love to be a Mott Irregular.
Yeah. Tri-Guild, Trade Guild shareholder, maybe.
There we go.
That coach driver, maybe.
The coach driver, yeah.
I wouldn't be the actual one hanging off the side, like doing any helping with anything, but I could at least like hold the reins. Yeah,
I could play cartographer.
Yeah. There we go. Love it.
Yeah, it would be fun. But well, we can all fantasize, I guess. We can all dream.
Exactly. As long as it's not a definite no, it could still it's still a possibility, and so I'll keep hope alive.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Oh, I think, like you said, though, the technology is getting better, and you never know what can happen down the road. So yeah,
people are spending money to make content. That's like, I guess, one of the upshots of like all of the diversity of streaming services is like, they're trying to be the one that gets your $10 or whatever it is, or $20 now, or however much, and so they're actually like producing content through not just traditional studio channels. So you never know, there might be some crazy executive at one of these things who wants to go out and spend some money.
Well, and it would be cool too, in a broader sense, just to see more and more fantasy on the screen.
That's why I'm pumped, even if they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tolkien back in the day didn't believe his books could ever be made, so he sold the rights for A Song and a Dance,
Yeah.
to make him into films. And lo and behold, Peter Jackson comes out with these, I think they're not perfect, but what's perfect,
Totally.
but and they are different in some ways. They're not exactly true entirely to the spirit of the books, but true enough to please this Tolkien geek. So,
Yeah, totally.
so that's that. And that's 20 years ago. So, I mean, things have progressed, and so it is possible to do this and to do it well. And to create more excitement, hopefully, like you said, when we started talking about this, more excitement for the genre as a whole, and maybe bring people to the books, as well. So
100%. Yeah. And like, we could do it and people redo stuff. They could learn a lot from my channel, right? It's like you make a bunch of garbage and then somebody else comes along and makes really killer videos on the same topic. Or like, I don't know if you ever saw it, but Wheel of Time had like some promo thing that they had to do to like keep the rights going with this, whoever had the rights before. And there's like a 20-minute like Wheel of Time promo with Billy Zane was actually Luz Theron, and it's like the very prologue of the first book or whatever.
I did not watch that.
Yeah, it's actually on YouTube. You can find it. It's terrible. It's garbage. But like, hey, that led to something that was at least like a couple notches better. So we're good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we shall see. So what are some series and stuff that have started to catch your eye? Something that you might be reading in the future, something new?
I have the whole Discworld that I'm gonna start chipping away at, and I'm just doing a little bit of research first. Like Raph swears by Discworld, and I know Ruth Ann Bad is big into Discworld too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're hardcore. I knew Raph anyway. Is a big time Discworld guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always heard Alan raving about Discworld too. From the Library of Alexandria. And so I got some of those, but I'm still doing some research because I heard there's some that are like young adult friendly, and so and that you don't have to read them chronologically. So I thought that might be one that I try and team up with my daughter on.
I could see that working. I mean, I've only read 3 Discworld books so far, and one was or the 2 were the first 2 books that were published, which I don't think they were what I was quite expecting. So I thought they were fine. I wasn't bored or anything like that, but they weren't like they weren't knocking my socks off so much. So that's the color of, what is it? The Light Fantastic and the Color of Magic and the Light Fantastic, I think. Are the first 2.
Those are the early ones.
Yeah. So I read those because I thought I had to read them in order. You don't have to read them in order. So I read Guards, the first of the City Watch books. And this was, you mentioned Alan. He's the one that sort of got me to read Guards, and so brilliant. I mean, it was so much fun. It's really funny, kind of Monty Python-esque. And
that's what I've heard.
So I loved it. I thought, okay, if this is what the Discworld books are like, then I can get into them. It's a series that I definitely want to read more into.
And they look pretty short too, so I'm gonna chip away at some of those. I think there's a couple new wild card books that I haven't caught all the way up on yet. I think like they're on like 35, 40. That's like the Mosaic novel thing that George R.R. Martin edits, and they're like alternate history, fantasy, sci-fi kind of alien virus thing. But
speaking of one thing we neglected to talk about when we talked about adaptation, are you going to watch the new whatever they're calling this new Game
Dragons
of Thrones show
thing?
Are they calling it the new Game of Thrones thing?
It's called House of the Dragon, I think.
Yeah.
Comes out in a couple months.
So I've read the source material for that. Fire and Blood, I think the book is called. It's this dry history of Westeros before, hundreds of years before Song of Ice and Fire takes place. And it's, I think for the fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, it was okay. It was, but it's not meant to be, exciting reading. It's more like background stuff. But I could see it being ideal for adapting.
They could dramatize it easily, totally.
Because so what can happen is they can do what they want with this material. They can
Nobody's read Fire and Blood.
You're not gonna have fans coming after them saying, you changed my favorite character, or you added this. Or, of course they're gonna add stuff. They have to, because it's very bare, the source material. So
right. Yeah,
that's an advantage in a way, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I think so. And I think that is something like, nobody's invested, so people won't trash talk as long as it's good. And it was chocked full of, drama and stuff, and backstabbing and all the like stuff people love from Game of Thrones, and has dragons too. So what's not to love? I'm looking forward to it. Again, I think like every time they up the ante and do it right, it encourages somebody to do something else. So if nothing else, like I'm in it for that. But HBO is usually pretty good. You want to see, I think they're doing a little bit, well, I guess the end of Game of Thrones kind of fell flat, but they're at least like throwing money and seem to be doing it right with good actors. I heard they might do another Jon Snow like sequel show the other day.
I just heard about that. Yeah.
Like the other day. And I was like, that's kind of crazy. And I was like, surprised Kit Harington would even want to come back after so long of like,
well, if they pay him, I'm sure he'll want to come back.
I know, but like Daniel Radcliffe's like 35 years old, and like people still like think of him just as Harry Potter still, the poor guy.
But he kind of still looks like Harry Potter, doesn't he?
I know. That's the thing, because they like finished the last one when he's like in his 20s or something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they sort of at the end of the last Harry Potter film, that little scene where they aged him, right?
Yeah.
He still looks like a kid, Yeah. Oh, well, some people have youthful looks, so.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the Discworld one is definitely catching up on the wild cards. I bought, everyone raves in the Discord about Joe Abercrombie. So I bought the latest Joe Abercrombie book series for like.
You have not yet read First Law. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So yeah, I got some Joe Abercrombie sitting there that I got to read. What else? Oh, I actually got the new Joe Abercrombie series and the old one. So I did get that First Law one that's sitting there too.
Yeah, big recommendation from me for First Law. If you're going to read First Law, start at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah.
Do read them in publication order.
Okay,
although
good.
I will say on the record, Age of Madness, the latest trilogy in the First Law world, is my favorite.
Okay.
Not everybody agrees with me there, but I think Abercrombie's gotten better and better and better as a writer.
Yeah.
And he does certain things really well that he wasn't trying to do earlier.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So for example,
Nice.
he's embedded, I think, more themes in the later trilogy.
Yeah.
When he did it first. He has more really great female characters in Age of Madness than he had in the original trilogy. So not that there were no female characters in the original, but he's got them front and center, much more fleshed out, I think, in the Age of Madness.
Nice.
So I just think he's also gotten better as a writer, but he's brilliant. I mean, I love everything First Law. And I would, though, in order to get the full appreciation for the later books, you do need to read the
Go to the beginning.
Yeah, so start and do it in publication, or do the first trilogy and then do the standalones.
Uh-huh.
There's 3 standalones.
I got it.
And read them in order. So I think that
those are the ones I'm missing, I guess.
Oh yeah, so that's Best Served Cold, and that is The Heroes and Red Country.
Yeah. Okay.
No, so you probably don't have those. Yeah. And the reason you want to read those is they definitely do inform the Age of Madness trilogy, which is the latest trilogy.
Okay, gotcha.
And there's also a short story collection called Sharp Ends.
Oh, wow.
Which is, again, if you want, there are certain things that you'll miss if you read Age of Madness without having read Sharp Ends.
Okay.
But I would read Sharp Ends after you read the 3 standalones. So yeah.
I didn't realize I was in
10
for
books.
such a big commitment. Yeah.
10 books. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And but start with the Blade itself, first book of the first trilogy.
Yeah,
and
that's the set I have.
I'm gonna predict that you're gonna love this First Law.
Everybody, that's why I bought it, honestly, without even having read and done much research on it. Was just like everybody in the Discord raves about it. So I was like, I make notes of all the ones that people are like, oh, you really got to read they did a like Gene Wolfe read along, which I couldn't join because I was just so overwhelmed with like life. But I did buy the book, and I want to read the Book of the New Sun.
I so need to read that book.
Yeah, everybody's like still talking about it in there, and just like the chat. I think they're done reading the books, but that channel of the Discord is like still very active. So I get like Malazan type vibes, and actually Niflrog is really reps hard the Book of the New Sun.
Yeah,
and
he's brilliant. If he likes it, then I mean, he's such a smart guy.
Yeah.
Talk about great Malaz tubers. I mean, he hasn't made a ton of videos, but the ones that he's made have been brilliant. So
I know it's an embarrassment of riches these days. It's a good time to be a Malazan fan. So
yeah. Book of the New Sun is a book a series rather, that I really need to read. And I will be first though trying another sort of heavy hitter, R. Scott Baker's Nothing. Yeah. So starting with The Darkness That Comes Before. Yeah. That one I'm going to start this summer, I think.
I just bought that at a used bookstore too, because that's another one that people really.
Yeah. I don't want to read them at the same time because it might be just overtaxing my brain if I do that. But I'm looking forward to both of them. And another big one that I'm going to be reading soon is Jenny Wirtz's The Wars of Light and Shadow. I'm very excited for that. Yeah.
Counselor Moonspawn was really repping that one pretty hard.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, has she read that series? I'd love to talk to her about it. I think
she did, or it was her or Raph, but they were definitely talking that one up big time too. I can't keep up with all these like amazing books.
Yeah. I read, I just had a discussion on my channel with Joanna, another person who's been so much fun to watch her Malazan journey.
Yeah.
And also Blaze from Under the Radar SFF Books. And he's not a YouTuber. He has a book blog and he also does the podcast. He does the podcast. But yeah, super nice guy. And Jenny Wirtz herself was in the discussion. And it was about a standalone that she wrote called To Ride Hell's Chasm. And it was really very, I mean, I can see where people who like Malazan and people who like, Book of the New Sun and more complex, rich stories, Wars of Light and Shadow is probably going to be one of those, and it's an 11 book series. Big books. So
is it done or she's still going?
She has basically finished the 11th book. I think she is finishing up the edits on it, and hopefully it'll be published, within the next year or so. I would imagine.
Oh my God, it's a great time to pick them up then.
It's a good time to start Wars of Light and Shadow. Yeah, because she's finished the last book. She's on her end. So yeah. Very cool. And they're not all that easy to find either, unfortunately. It's another case of what is the publisher doing, so
people still want books. This is crazy. I feel like they aren't getting with the times. So
yeah, I mean, don't they want our money? I mean,
I know
they're in business, crazy. Right? So
yeah, I'll look that up. Are you guys you and AP gonna keep stuff going when you finish the Crippled God?
Yeah, so actually AP is the one who really got this going, because he was telling me he was going to read the series by Jenny Wirtz. And so I sort of invited myself
You're like, I'm going to tag along
with him.
Yeah,
to read it along with him. And also, as it turned out, Jimmy from the Fantasy Network is going to be reading the series along with us too. So
very cool.
So we're going to do that. And we've been talking about doing Realm of the Elderlings as well.
Yeah.
And some David Gemmell. So those are books that we might be doing together. But yeah, I would love to have excuses to talk to AP about fantasy books, because I like learning stuff, and there's a lot to learn when you talk to AP. So
no, you guys are a lot of fun too. And everybody is like, one of those reasons why you go to BookTube is to like enjoy yourself and like see people who are genuinely enjoying themselves, you know what I mean, and just like talking about books and stuff. So
yeah,
it's been great as a fan just to like be able to enjoy.
Yeah, well, I would have to say that I've been in a lot of great discussions and buddy reads, and I mean, I never did anything like this before getting involved on YouTube.
Yeah,
but I have to say the most like incredible literary journey I've been on, and this includes writing my own dissertation,
Yeah.
is reading the Malazan series, the 2 series, Malazan Book of the Fallen and Novels of the Malazan Empire, along with AP,
I
and
bet.
getting to discuss those books with him has been just, transformative. It's been
Yeah.
really fantastic. So
No,
I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah.
we've all learned a lot. No, it's crazy. I always like want, and I'm like, dude, I never would have gotten it. And like that's what I was always like so hungry for too, and it's just been like like I said, it's a dream come true with all the amazing Malazan content out there. It's just like so awesome to see it getting the love and getting the, all the layers. It's like the onion that you just keep peeling it back, and there's always like more to give in different angles, and so it's just
there's so much richness and vastness to it all. And even when AP and I think we do our best, but there's always stuff we leave out every time. I mean, every book. I mean, I think it was, how many videos did we make on Toll the Hounds? I think there were like 4 or 5 videos on Toll the Hounds, and we still didn't get to everything, not even close.
Oh yeah, totally.
So it was just there's a incredible richness there. So, but yeah, we're taking a good stab at it here. So
you guys are. No, it's amazing. I know what you mean. I've done like just very specific topic driven videos, and then it's like, or collabs, and you're like talk for an hour and a half, and you're like, bro, we never talked about this, we never talked about that.
yeah, I can't remember where it was where we started out with a spoiler free discussion, and then we do a spoiler filled discussion, and of course the spoiler filled one was usually a lot longer. The spoiler free is like half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. But the spoiler filled one, which goes on AP's channel, it would be like an hour and a half. And then suddenly, was it Reaper's Gale? I can't remember where we were. Bone Hunters, maybe, where suddenly we realized, oh crap, we cannot do this in one spoiler filled discussion. We're gonna have to do another video here, and that's where it ended up. And
totally.
Yeah, and I think with Dust of Dreams and Crippled God, let's see what happens. But they're really one book in a way too, aren't they?
They are, but there's just so much there. Even like somebody's in the Discord, Livia's reading Crippled God right now, and she's like, I'm on like chapter 15, and there's still like a lot of stuff hanging out there to like get through, even like at that stage. So
oh my goodness, yeah, it's such a journey. But that is why we're here, my friend. We are here to experience these journeys.
It's the journey, not the destination. Or exactly. So
yeah, and there's so many rich stories that we share, and it's so great that we get to do this together, too, and to share our enthusiasm and our insights and enrich each other's. And you've certainly done that for so many people with your channel, and just sharing that love has been so important to a lot of us. So, thank you. I
appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've been blessed to be able to just like, have these conversations and just be part of the group. That's dream come true. So
and to this day, I cannot hear the phrase lasers and fireballs without thinking of you, my friend. So
that's right. That's what we're here for. Bring it on.
Yeah, I mean, anybody says lasers and fireballs, my brain goes Iskar Jarak, right?
We love it. Bring them. Yeah.
It was so funny. Once we were talking, I can't remember which video it was, but it was an occasion when we happened to have AP. I think it's on AP's channel, where we had Steven Erickson, Andy, and Esslemont there, and we were talking about you.
I watched that. Oh yeah. We
were talking about you and how much you've done for Malazan and for MalazTube and everything, and somehow we got on the phrase lasers and fireballs, and I can't remember which one of them. I think it was Ian Esslemont was scratching, said, where does he get the lasers from? It was so funny. It was like, I mean, it's great, but are there lasers? Do we have lasers, Steve? It was so funny.
Hey, I always pictured the Pale battle with Tayshren and all that.
Yeah, those are lasers.
Shooting lasers down there. Come on.
Those are lasers, man.
Yeah, in my head they were. Nobody's gonna tell me that's not canon. So.
Oh man, that's so great. Yeah, but it's a phrase that I think deserves to be memorialized forever.
No,
So
I joke, but that is like one of the, it is a very intellectual, and there's all these philosophical topics, and there's all this like
yeah.
great deep character work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
there also is just like that kind of action side
Absolutely.
of the books that is, just like maybe the more pedestrian or whatever, but it's like the stuff that like people who, you know, might think it, it might appeal to some people who are like not, used to going into super deep heavy stuff. It's like, dude, there's just a lot of kick-ass stuff too, and badass fights, and like killer strong mages and wizards, and
Oh
you know what
yeah.
I mean. So
I mean, the stuff they came up with, it's just talk about going for it. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of us love in fantasy is just going for it, and the epicness. I mean, it is just so incredible and jaw dropping. And when you
yeah,
read some of this stuff, the action sequence is so well done by both authors.
totally,
Just amazing stuff. So you're absolutely right. I mean, there are
yeah.
people who read these books and don't really care for philosophy that much, but boy, the epicness of it is just something that
They're still gonna get into it. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And that's a great thing to have a series that offers all this stuff, the humor, the epicness, the lasers and fireballs, the philosophy,
yeah,
like all of
totally.
life has been crammed into these books, you know?
Yeah, even me, I loved like the Song of Ice and Fire, and I loved all of that stuff, and like the backstabbing and the political intrigue,
Oh,
and
it's
like the
brilliant. Yeah.
grayness of the characters, but it wasn't like necessarily going into as many like crazy existential type,
No.
like conversations I think that Malazan does. And I wasn't even going for that. I was going for epicness and lasers and fireballs and stuff. And then I just like ended up finding that stuff really like resonating, because I feel like it's just real life like that. And that's what I was saying at the beginning too, just about abstracting away. And even though it's like giant dragons and whatever,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean, gray frog and all this crazy, but it's like you really are like kind of, even the demons. I think Ruth Ann Bad did a killer demon one, or maybe it was on a collab, but where it's like you
Yeah.
learn so much about like humanity and stuff by like, these conversations with the demons, and how they
Yeah.
were treated and mostly subjugated and stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well, I mean, demons are really just us, you
yeah,
know, in a slightly fantastic form.
totally.
And
So,
these fantasy stories, they offer a kind of psychic distance, and they deal with the most important truths by telling lies, you know, and in a way that's so effective that
yeah,
I think we all know who read these things, we know how sustaining and important they are for us. So, and that
totally.
goes back to this young, young Iskar Jarak doing all these important stuff, and young Philip Chase doing all this important stuff so we could make a living.
Yeah.
But these books, as much as we might think of them as entertainment, they're necessary too, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like that's why I keep reading them again and stuff like that. Cause then for me, it hit at the right time of just like self improvement and trying to be more thoughtful and deliberate about how I live my life and stuff. And like you have all these existential questions in there, and just like, people who are, the troll Sengars, and just like really, they're and all over the map too, just the spectrum of people that you don't want to be the really terrible, vindictive Calor. You want to, you know what I mean? And you see these relationships and the love that people have, and like the, you know, I could go on and on and on, but it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's like, stuff that you want to try and strive towards, stuff that you want to make sure that you're being conscious not to become, stuff that,
yep.
all of that stuff. So it's that's kind of what, and you're having fun too.
And you're having fun,
Yeah.
and you have to talk about to AP about Calor. He's a Calor lover,
Oh,
so
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. But and there's another guy, Lore Guru from the Discord, who's like so into Calor and thinks like Calor was the good guy. And I was like, you basically like read the mind of that video that AP kind of made, and just like, and there is like, you know what I
Oh,
mean? There's a history, everybody's got a past, and
yeah,
everybody
that's another Malazan thing. Yep.
100%, and it's never the way that that it seems on the surface and stuff, and like the history or the
Right.
narrative, the official narrative's never correct and whatever and stuff, but like he's still like a heinous individual. Same thing with like Karsa Orlok, right? Like people
Oh
love
yeah.
Karsa and stuff, and like, you know just also
Yeah, can we just make a list of the stuff that Carsa did? And you would think worst thing ever, right?
Yeah,
Horrible,
totally
evil.
unforgivable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
But everyone's like, yeah, witness,
I know, and he's like such a popular kid. Like I never forgave. I'm like, that's still unforgivable. And like it is so interesting to read though, too. And like he's a great character, you know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
still just like kind of a, crazy scumbag at the end of the day. Where I'm like, I just can't get over some of the first couple hundred pages of his first book or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that is such a hallmark of the series, is that you think you know a character and then you get another perspective, and then suddenly it's, oh, huh. And
yeah.
it'd be nice if we could apply that to real life sometimes, when we get into arguments with people and we kind of lump them into a category. Oh, these people, they're all like this, and then
Yeah.
we're
Well,
not really seeing the complexity of a human being when we're thinking that way, are we?
this is why I'm so nervous and scared about the Forge of the High Mage, is because I'm very, very comfortable in my hatred for Malik Rel right
Malik
now.
Rel, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, which
It's
I see is
coming.
probably teetering on the precipice as we sit here and talk about it, which has me pretty nervous too. But I just can only guess that we're going to get some of that at least.
I could just picture Ian Esslemont rubbing his hands together, thinking about how
It's
he's going to
coming.
disrupt all of our comfortable assumptions about Malik Rel. So
Yeah, because that's what he's done the whole time too. Like every book, there's always
yeah.
some kind of thing that tips the official narrative on its head. So he loves doing it.
Yep. They do that. They do have fun with the official narrative, don't they? So
Yeah, I think he said something in the interview that we did about how, kind of taking a shot at the historians and stuff like that. Like other historians even, but like I don't know if that's from their archaeology background, where it's like that's the truer form of the knowledge.
Oh yeah. There's a bit of archaeology snobbery going on there.
There we go. Yeah.
But also a truth in that.
Yeah, no, totally.
We pretend that there's this official narrative that is unchanging, and this is the truth that we have it recorded here, and really it's just one person's interpretation based on a very limited amount of evidence of what happened in the past, and it's usually very biased.
Yeah.
So
Totally. No, I think I love that part in the Bone Hunters with like Orma Logan or whatever and his little
oh yeah
frog, guy, and he's like, that stuff wasn't even there, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, it'll be there because I'm painting it there.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's I think a favorite theme of theirs, to portray the ways in which there are so many other narratives out there that are not as well known. And when you get different versions of what happened, you begin to see, oh well, maybe my assumptions about this group of people or the way this happened are actually kind of inaccurate. So
yeah, totally. 100%. No, I love that part of the books too. That's what makes it so three-dimensional, is nobody's just like purely sinister evil,
which is really a very important insight in the world today, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. No,
that is lacking it's lacking in a lot of our political discourse these days. We have these camps and everybody over there is evil.
Yeah.
And, we're the good guys and they're horrible over there. They're all like this, and we have these labels,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I hopefully people read the books too. And it's like, I don't know, at least for me, it was like more of an introspective thing. It wasn't like identifying with one group and then being, you know what I mean? Like, okay, here's my team. And, it was like, they all had their shenanigans and the subgroups and, you know what I mean? So.
Yep.
And we all have that too. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all trying to do our best. We all have errors and faults and whatever. And we can just, like be conscious and be deliberate. So.
Yep. Life in words.
Yeah, totally.
So, well, brilliant. Well, I know you have a family and stuff to do, books to read.
Yeah.
And a tournament to plan.
For sure. That's top priority.
Yeah, awesome. So I really appreciate all the time you've given me today. And
No, me too, man. You're a good friend, and I, always appreciate the support and the kind words. And you guys always like lavish on the praise and stuff, which is totally undeserved and unnecessary. But I so appreciate it. And I'm honestly just like, as a fan, so grateful that you guys are around and that you guys are kind of injecting so much cool fun into the mix, and just to be able to, like I said, have Malazan content that's such top-notch stuff to be able to actually just enjoy as someone who loves the books is like a dream come true. And even more so to be able to like come talk to you in person and take up 2 hours of your time and all of that stuff. So thank you
oh,
so
wow.
much.
The honor is mine, and you have earned all the appreciation and the praise, believe me. And it takes a sort of I think, a discerning mind to take apart a work of literature. But it takes something far more important, I think, to create a community, which is, I think, a bit of wisdom and some generosity of spirit. And you definitely have those things. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say thank you for that.
No, thank you. It's just right time, right place, but we're just gonna run with it.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, we're awfully glad you did. So thank you very much again. Thank you, everybody who has been listening to this episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy. And until next time.